What is good, Osiris here, stuck in the middle. Thank you for joining. Politically, I'm somewhere in the middle of. I always try to think of new names. I was just watching Bryson Gray, so I'm somewhere left of Bryson Gray and right of Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you for stopping by, no matter how you found the channel. My wife, from time to time, will ask, why are you doing YouTube? Like this, it's all risk, no, there's definitely no financial reward. It's a fair question. She's like, well, what do you like? What is it about? I mean, it's just a hobby. I know it's a fair question for her to ask. This is the answer. And I'll communicate this to her and show her this poll. I strongly believe in balance. I strongly believe in working together. And it frustrates me that the populist right and populist left don't sit down at the table and negotiate. I need to see Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert sitting down with Ilhan Omar and AOC and saying, you know what? We should run this thing. I know I've called them fake, but let's just pretend they're real populists on the left. We should run this thing. We're not going to always agree. Okay, you all get this, we get this, we put it in a bill, and we run this thing. So that's why I did this poll. I did a poll. I said, would you agree with this deal between the populist left and right? I'm just saying populist left and right, but obviously it doesn't matter what you believe. You would benefit from either one of these things. The populist left wants to cancel student debt. So I'd say, okay, that's what y'all want. Populist right, and many other people on the left too want this, but let's just say populist right wants freedom of speech on digital platforms. We don't want the government to work with these platforms and then say, oh, we can censor you because it's a private company. We know that's bullish. So let's do it. Or at least start with negotiations there. Cancel student debt. And we get, I think it would have to be new laws. I don't know what it looks like. Just throwing it out there. New laws, new amendment, whatever it is. The point is that we would work together. Populist right would work to get their representatives, citizens would work to get their populist right representatives to help cancel student debt. I know a lot of us don't believe in that. I don't believe in it as a solution. It's just a payoff for votes. I got it. But in order to get the populist left and the right working together, we both have to have skin in the game. So Alex Jones, Trump, anyone else would get their platform back. Doesn't matter if they're right or left. And taxpayers would pay off all student debt. Nico House, Convo Couch, they would have to be monetized. I'm talking about like that level of deep. Like you can't monetize one channel and not monetize another one just because you don't like what they're saying. So I did a poll and I was shocked. You might be shocked at my position. I'll give you that at the end. I'm going to go through some comments. 69% of the channel said no deal. Whoa. 26% said yes. 5% said they didn't care. The reason why I'm doing this is for the comments. So if I go to my wife and she says, why are you doing this? Because the people that I'm able to bond with on the internet based on a Canon M50, MacBook, and a mic and internet, this is fulfilling to me. It's helping me understand that there are sane people out here, even though we're going to slightly disagree and stuff and all that. Let me go through the comments real quick. The problem, this is Clayton Decker. Thank you, Clayton. The problem with applying the First Amendment to private social media platforms is that when the government has to create a standard, which effectively means the government will be controlling online speech, competition, and technology that makes censorship impossible, blockchain, are the only sustainable answers. From a legal perspective, social media platforms should be held liable in court for not holding their own terms of service. That's the legal route we should take to restore freedom of speech online. Clayton, I agree. Ideally, the blockchain, I'm not an expert in it, but you're basically going to like crypto type stuff where it's a decentralized network. So there is no possibility. No one can ban anyone, fully. Okay, I do agree, but I still need free speech on their digital platform. People are asking Elon Musk to turn off and brick Teslas in Russia. Can he do that? Can Elon Musk flip a switch? Because they control the software. They can upload, they can download. I don't know what capabilities he has, but this stuff is getting scary, and it's not just free speech online. It's more than that. But I got you there. I agree completely. The government, I don't want control in the government. I want control in the hands of the people. So just hypothetically, if the legislation doesn't give the government more control, it gives people more freedom. So you would have Nick Fuentes on every platform you wanted to be on. And you would get the tools. These social media companies, they obviously have the tools to ban you. They obviously have the tools to shadow ban you. They could give those tools to individuals. So if you're just some normie out there or you're very insensitive to these type of things, that's fine. They could say, hey, do you want us to censor the whole platform for you, to turn it back to the way it used to be? You could just click a button and say yes. And Twitter would be the same as it was before everyone had free speech. For me, I'd be on there hearing the N-bomb, hearing all kinds of insensitive things, but then also discovering people I would have never discovered before. Kane Huff says, this argument is a great example of why it's ridiculous to view all compromise as a good thing. Essentially, the question is, if people take away your rights, should you then allow them to blackmail you into giving the wealthiest in society hundreds of millions of dollars from our shared tax revenues? I understand. This is a compromise, Kane. Thank you for your comment. It's going to be a give and take. The many people on the left, the true populist left, like Nico House and Jimmy Dore, they would love both of these things. They'd be like, great. But I'm just saying, a lot of people on the left are authoritarian. They don't want free speech. They don't want it. So they would give up that. We would give up the loan thing. It's just a one-time payoff. So I hear your point. I can't argue with you. Why are we having to negotiate to have rights? I've done videos. We should already have free speech on the digital platforms because of their relationship with government. I agree, but we don't. So you can say we should have this, we should have that. J6 detainees should not have been detained for over a year. Even the ones that weren't detained shouldn't have been hanging in the wind for over a year. You can say what should be, but that's not reality. Robbie Taylor says, First Amendment is a right, and canceling student debt because our highly educated citizens cannot afford to pay their payments. Who pays if they can't afford it? Those who did not go to college. That's who, which is absolutely BS. I got you. Dina Marie, friend of show. Everybody here is a friend of show, but special friend of show, Dina Marie. I'm not for negotiating our constitutional rights. That's a big no. I don't really have a retort to that. Anna Hernandez, I refuse to pay anyone's school debt. I did not have a college fund. I had no financial support from my parents. I ended up incurring debt when I moved off campus. That was a choice I made. I'm solely responsible for that debt. I paid it off in a few years because I hustled, working multiple jobs, and made it my main priority. I didn't make any other expensive purchases. I only got a modest car when I had one solid job with a consistent paycheck. If I can do it, anyone can. Stop with the excuses and handle your stuff. I agree. So here's if you're making it through this video, tell me, I'll do a separate video. What can we negotiate for what? That's how it has to happen. We don't agree on everything, but if the populists agree with one thing, they have people first in mind. If there's a decision to be made, you pick people over institutions. So the populist left, they want to spend a lot. They want universal basic income, which I do also, but they still want welfare. They still want everything else. They don't want to balance anything. So we have to negotiate, and we'll both have more power. Sorry, I pay for too many bad choices of others already, and I'm glad Facebook and Twitter have been so restrictive. This is an interesting one. They're pro-Trump, and they're glad that Facebook has been restrictive. That was my notice to get out of there, that I needed to dump social media. Besides, I know that Alex Jones and President Trump are what they're going to say anyways, and I fully agree with them. I don't need my beliefs reinforced by anyone. Trump 2024. Thank you, Stephen Hood. Amanda Lesperin says, you can't bargain my rights, period, and my debt was a choice made. Facts. Negotiate rights that are supposed to be ours anyway? Absolutely freaking not. That's a weak-ass deal. Student debt machine has to be completely disassembled. Otherwise, they'll dig the same hole. Stop lending. Let this generation be the last of the ridiculousness. Live within your means. No debt lifestyle. Bankruptcy doesn't even dissolve student loan debt. I will not pay for others' questionable educational choices. Facts. Martha, we forgive the interest. Taxpayers don't pay it, but the schools just absorb the hit and they can deduct off their taxes. This is a game. I know this is dirty. And we regulate schools so they can either take government money or charge for school, but not both. Josh Vickers says, but why would those of us who pay our own student loans need to pay other people's student loans in order to have a right that's been in the Constitution for hundreds of years? Asking one side to give up money and the other to stop whining about what people say, not the most even trade. Appreciate you. Facts. Reduce the interest or forgive the interest on their loan, but we can't afford to write out forgive the student loan. Trying to keep everything fiscally responsible. Thank you for the comment. Mike W. It seems so crazy that freedom of speech isn't polypartisan. I'm not familiar with that term. Polypartisan, like bipartisan, I think. I wouldn't do the deal as is, but what I would do, basic universal health care for the First and Second Amendment reinstitution and protections. Or forgive all student debt, but end the Federal Reserve. That's a deal I could get with, Mike. Restore money creation to Treasury, reinstate gold standard, and outlaw compound interest. Mike, that's why I want to throw this out. People might have better ideas. Lastly, Jerry Broxson, how about our government enforce the Constitution as is? And if you borrowed money for school, you pay it back. We shouldn't be making deals with our constitutional rights. If you want student loans forgiven, why not forgive mortgages and auto loans? I agree. People might disagree with me, but we can't change this country without rights in the digital world. And I would happily pay off a one-time payoff of all student loans for First Amendment protections under these big tech companies. The long-term payoff would be everyone gets a voice in the public square. Now, with that free speech, there would be no shadow banning. Algorithm has to be public, because you could say everyone has free speech and then they just say, hey, if we don't like Alex Jones' channel, you get 0 views. You got free speech, but we won't let anybody see it. Thank you. That's why I love this channel. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think. Take care.